If you've tried OBS before and it just didn't click, this is the simplest setup I could make, and it actually works. We're going to skip everything you don't need right now and get straight to a setup that works. All you need is OBS installed, a camera or webcam, and a microphone. If you haven't grabbed OBS yet, it's free at obsproject.com. When you open OBS for the first time, it's going to offer to run through a quick setup wizard. Go ahead and choose Optimized just for recording. I will not be streaming, because today we're setting up for just recording. You can always change this later. For what we're doing today, the resolution of 1920 by 1080 at 30 frames per second is a great starting point. So we're going to change it to 1920 by 1080, set use current to 30, we'll hit next. It's going to run through a series of tests where it tests the recording encoder. Go ahead and hit apply settings. Let's make sure OBS is saving our recordings the right way. We're going to go to file, then settings. We'll click on output, and we want to change the output mode from simple to advanced. Make sure you click the recording tab. For your recording format, let's make sure we choose Hybrid MP4. Hybrid MP4 is the best of both worlds. If something goes wrong, you'll get an MKV file that you can recover from. Otherwise, if everything goes great, you'll walk away with a straight MP4 file ready to go. Next up is your video encoder. If you're on a Mac, choose Apple VT-H264 hardware encoder. On Windows, look for NVIDIA NV ENC-H264 if you've got an NVIDIA card. If you're on an AMD, choose an AMD HW H264. If you don't see either of those, an X264 will work fine as a fallback. For rate control, choose constant QP and the constant QP value of 20. It's a solid number for quality without a huge file size, so don't overthink that. Just set that and move on. The last thing we want to check while we're in this tab is the recording path. You just want to make sure that you set that somewhere you'll actually remember, like your desktop, for example. While we're in here, we're also going to go over and click on the video tab. We want to make sure that the base canvas resolution is set to 1920 by 1080 and that the output scaled resolution is set to 1920 by 1080 and the common FPS value is set to 30. Now, you could change those to 4K values and set the FPS to 60 if you'd like, but if you're just getting started, 1920 by 1080 will give you nice high resolution videos right out of the gate. So with that, we'll just click apply and click OK. Before we go any further, let me save you a headache. A lot of people get everything else set up and then realize their microphone just isn't showing any activity. If you talk and the bars in your audio mixer aren't moving at all, it's almost always because OBS picked the wrong input device. Just like before, click on File and then Settings, then Audio. Then you want to select the mic/auxiliary audio and pick your actual microphone. In this case, it's going to be remote audio because I'm using a weird recording system, but typically you would find your microphone listed here. You want to pick that from the drop-down. Instead of whatever OBS defaulted to, click Apply and hit OK again. Those bars should then come alive down below. Now, let's actually get your screen and camera showing up. In the Sources panel, click the plus button. Then click Display Capture, click on Add a new display capture, and then pick the display you want to record, and click OK. Now we're going to add our camera source. So back in the Sources panel, click the plus sign. You want to click on Video Capture Device, click Add a new video capture device, and then you want to choose your actual camera. Once you've done that, click OK. So we've covered the entire screen with my camera right now, but we can shrink that down by simply grabbing a corner and pulling it down. Now I've got myself down in the lower right corner. And that's your layout. That's all you really need to do. We can drag this and put it wherever we want to. We're seeing a second mirror copy because our screen is mirrored. But if I keep it over here, you can see this is the main recording window right here. And we can see we're right down here in the corner. And that's the layout. That's honestly all we need to do. Don't really need to fuss around too much more. Now you could do a quick test just by clicking the Start Recording button. We can talk for a few minutes, make sure everything is okay. Don't get any errors. Once we're done with that, we just would click Stop Recording. We could go browse to that file location and we can see a new file has appeared right here. If I click on that, I have the audio muted right now, but I do know it's there. I tested this earlier, but I just wanted to show you how quickly that pops up on the screen. That's a basic working OBS setup. Your screen's captured, your camera's in the corner, your mic is working, and your recordings are saving where you can find them. Now, if this just saved you a few hours of frustration, well, subscribing is a nice way to help me keep making more of these videos. Everything you actually need is done. Everything from here on is for anyone who wants to understand the why behind some of these choices. Let's start with the file formats. MOV can look great on a Mac, but it eats up hard drive space really fast, especially if you're recording anything longer than a few minutes. If you'd rather not use MKV, then MP4 is a totally fine choice on Windows as well. Going down to rate control, CRF, CBR, Constant QP all control how OBS balances quality against file size, just in slightly different ways. Constant QP at 20, which is what we said earlier, is a solid middle ground for most people, which is why I didn't want to slow you down earlier explaining all three options. If you're shooting in 4K but your monitor isn't a 4K display, there's a little bit of a workaround involved in resizing your window so everything fits. If you have questions about how that works, let me know and maybe I'll make a video on that. It takes some getting used to, but it's very doable. The last thing I want to touch on is scenes. A scene is basically a saved layout. Right now, we've got one scene with our screen and camera together. You could create a second screen that's just your camera, full screen, no screen capture, which is great for recording intros and outros. To do that, you would just click the plus button under scenes, give it a name, let's say full screen, click OK. Now we'll click the plus button under sources, and you can see our video sources are already listed here. The recently created sources will start to populate in this window. Let's just click the add one existing. And let's stretch this out so it fits full screen. That's all there is to it. Then you can switch between scenes instantly just by clicking on them. My full OBS setup guide is right here on the screen. You can click on that. I'll make sure I put a link to it in the description below. Make sure you check out my other OBS videos, or better yet, the entire OBS playlist. With that, I will see you in the next video.